Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Welcome to the Sunday chat. And as they say, in a packed programme today, we don't really. Got news and views, that's not going to take long. We've got some orchids to look at. We've got some new orchids that I got today. And we've got thank yous as usual. And right at the very end, because not everybody's interested, we have a health update. Things are going on, not all good. But I'll leave that to the very end. Not everybody's interested in personal stuff, but some are. So I'll stick it right on the end. So news and views then. News is, I was out today. We're now quite late in the day, and I've had to wait for a while to a point where I could actually turn the fan off and open this door, which means the lounge is going to get a bit warm. And I was hoping to have that door open as well, but the rat dog up in the flat keeps barking, so I'll leave it shut. I'll put up with a bit of heat in there. But the weather's on the break. It was supposed to really break today, and it sort of half did. So although it's been cloudy most of the day, there's been a bit of sunshine. And at this time of year it does hit the roof. And because I was out, obviously doors shut, so when I got home it was pretty warm in here. So I've had to wait till later in the day for it to just cool down enough that I can get away with the fan off. Now I'm dropping my humidity like a stone here, but that's very simply replaced with a humidifier and only takes a couple of minutes. So the plants, by the time they notice it, it'll be back up again, so we won't worry about that. So, trip out today. The Rare Plants Fair is held in the same place as the Bournemouth Orchid Society have their shows. So, you know, I know where it is. It's 25 minutes to get there this morning, over an hour to get home, flipping traffic. All because a lot of it was because people can't negotiate a roundabout. They pull up to the roundabout and, oh, shall I, shan't I, shall I, shan't I? If you pull out on a roundabout and you mistime it a little bit, the person coming the roundabout will see you and stop or slow down, probably beat their horn and do a gesture or two, but nobody gets bashed, it's all right. It's not the end of the world. But some people wait for a 10-minute gap, you know, 6 cars could have got through in that time. And that was most of the problem. And the other problem was a flipping great thing being towed, caravan, motorhome type thing that was far wider than I believe it should be on our roads, took up more space than a lorry. You know, there was probably more stuff in there than the people's house. Mind you, that might have been their house, I suppose. But yeah, it doesn't take much on our roads to cog them up. Yeah, so it took a long time to get home, but I wasn't exactly in a hurry. So you just sort of ho-hum, you sit there. There's nothing you can do. You can't go past because there's just as much traffic coming the other way. So that was all good fun. Now, the Rare Plants Fair I've never been to. I nearly went to the one in Bristol, but I wasn't happy about where I could park when I got there. Plus, it's a fair old flipping journey for what is unknown at the other end. But I knew that there was one in Bournemouth now and again. I think there's 2 a year now. They're becoming regular. And I knew that eventually one would occur when it didn't clash with something else, which is what happened today. So I tootled along. I got there deliberately early so that I could have a nice cooked breakfast without having to worry about it at home with half the stuff on a cooked breakfast, full English type breakfast. I haven't got half that stuff here because I don't have that sort of thing. And, you know, no cooking, no preparation and no washing up. We like that. Let's pay somebody else to do it all. So I had a nice breakfast and and a coffee, and eventually got into the Rare Plant Fair. And you have to bear in mind that most of what was there was not really of interest to me. I've got no interest in cactus. A lot of it was houseplants. I don't have houseplants. I've got enough worries sorting out the garden and out here without having to add to it. And I thought, there is something I would like in the house that I've often had in the past, and the last one that I had was a lovely size specimen plant, and I forgot to water it just probably 2 days and it died. You don't get long, and that was a maidenhair fern. You can't find them now. there was a time in an orchid show display that between every plant was a maidenhair fern. At the end of the show they sold them £1 each. You can't find them now. Nobody's selling them. They've gone out of fashion. But I thought if there's one here I will get a replacement and we'll start to grow a new one. It's the sort of thing you can have like in a hallway where it's not too warm, they don't need lots of light, but what they mustn't do is dry out. So, but I haven't got one because I couldn't find one. Now, as far as orchids are concerned, I pre-ordered one with conditions from Spices Otic. Sent an email to Zuza and said, if you've got one of these that's got some new growth on it, I don't want one that looks dead, that's got no greenery, because they're not the easiest of plants to look after. I've had them before. So this is a replacement, and when you see it, it's a welcome back to an old friend that we used to have that's even got a nickname. The nickname will be reused. And Zuza showed me the plant, and I thought, yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. So you'll see it again in a minute. So yeah, that was that. And they had some nice plants on display. They also had a nice display itself. I didn't film anything, by the way. I took my camera and carried it. I didn't film anything at all. Bournemouth Orchid Society were there for advice and guidance and trying to rustle up custom, like new members. So I had a chat with those that were there, and yeah, they had quite a nice display as well. And there's, can I show you? Yeah, hang on just a minute, because it's on my phone. I'll be back. Right, it's probably not worth editing that bit out, and this might take me a while, but I want to show you something. There was a plant in Bournemouth Orchid Society's display, and I was chatting to a sort of long-term friend from Bournemouth Orchid Society, and he said, well, actually that's mine. Because I said, this is absolutely stunning, and he said, that's mine, and we chatted about it. I'll get to that bit in a minute, but it's a name I would never remember. So he held the tag up and he said, take a picture on your phone. I thought, I wouldn't have thought of that. I don't do phones, or I'm not very good at thinking about phones. See what I mean? I can't even type my own passcode in. Right, now what we need, photos. There it is. If I turn it that way, hopefully that's going to show. I hope that's in focus now. How many of you have ever heard of that? Quite honestly, that looks back to front on my screen. I hope that's round the right way. If not, stand on your heads. So that is a terrestrial, cool grower terrestrial, effectively the same sort of treatment as Pleone, and virtually impossible to get. But my friend said, next time he repots it or anything like that, he said if there's a spare bulb, your name's on it. So I've got my name down for a piece of that. Like an idiot, I didn't take a picture of the bloom either. I could have filmed that bit, couldn't I? But you can look it up. Just put the name into Google and you'll get some pictures. And it is stunning. Not huge blooms, but plenty big enough, because you know me, I don't like little tiny blooms. Not very good on YouTube because I've got a job to film them. So yes, so that's, I've got my name down for a terrestrial. And one of my long-term friends from Bournemouth turned up and we were chatting away, and I said, look at this is absolutely stunning. And he said, I've seen them growing in the wild. I said, what, in Africa? And he said, yeah. And then I remembered he actually lived in Africa for quite a long time. And he said, I even knew where there was an alba form. So this is growing, somebody who's seen this sort of stuff in the wild. Anyway, that's that. The other orchids, oh, I must admit, my lovely Cymbidium here, the black and yellow one, when I asked Zuza about that back at the NEC, so that was this time last year, and I asked about it because she had one in bloom in the display, and she said, I could have sold that 20 times. And I said, have you got any more back at the ranch? Not at the moment, but I will get some in. Well, she had several of them in her display. And it wasn't a display to look at type display, it was a display where you could buy them. Everything was for sale, so yeah, it was nice to look at. Nice to see that somewhere else as well. So the only thing I will say is hers had much nicer, fatter blue bulbs than mine's got. Obviously better looked after than mine. Anyway, so I bought a pre-ordered orchid. I was quite happy with it, and in addition I bought one off the display as well. It's another one that I've had before, but this was in the days round the other place when those type of orchids did not last long. They are lasting much better here, and I had a look at it, and when we have a look at it later, it's incredibly similar to another one that I got off of them at that would have been at Bournemouth Spring Show, and it's growing incredibly well the way I potted it. So once we've had a look at it, you'll see what I mean, and that will be on the list of repots this coming week, along with at least one Cymbidium, maybe two. The Project Orchid plant, if you watch that final Project Orchid episode, you'll see why that one needs repotting. And also Tiger Tail has come to the end of its blooming. I will check it over, and providing I can see signs of new growth, that's got to be not only repotted but divided. So we'll get the axe out. It's a big plant, but it is actually a miniature. It's the pot that makes it look like a big plant. It's not, it's a miniature. So that's that. So two new orchids to look at in a minute. First of all, I wanted to look at a couple of orchids here now. So some people have said your Sunday orchid chat is getting less and less about orchids. Well, we can put that right, especially when I've got new ones. Can't have new ones every week, can I? So let's have a look. I wanted to show you a couple of things. That means getting them down, and you'll have to be patient while I dig them out. And this is important, this one. This was organised by Insa, and it's my Dendrobium hercoglossum. It was a replacement for one that basically went downhill and was lost. And I did have it as a specimen plant at one point. This is already heading that way, and I was hoping that some of these canes, oh, I've just seen something else. That was not on the list to show you, but there's now something else I've just spotted. It's funny how sometimes you just look at a plant from a different angle and you see a huge mealybug. Oh, drat it, that went on the floor somewhere. Well, hopefully it's too far away from a plant and it will die. But yeah, this has an odd mealybug, but not enough to worry about. So, right, why did I want to get this down? This needed to be mounted to enable it to get lots of moisture and feed, but not stay soaking wet. And mounted is the way forward if you wish to get that environment. If it's in a pot and you want it to stay moist, it's capable of staying moist too long, yeah, especially in the winter time. Now this doesn't rest in the winter, it slows up. It's got a very strange growth pattern because in year one, at the start of the growing season, you should get some new growth, which is what I wanted to show you. Even though it's one day away from being June, which is officially the start of summer. But everything starts growing late in this place. Yes, so basically in year one you get new growth, and they push on to canes, you know, this sort of length, something like this, yeah? And then they carry on growing slowly through the first winter. They don't stop. They grow, but they grow a bit slower. Come the next year, they push on, and then you start getting sort of canes this sort of length, yeah? In winter two, they still carry on growing. Again, they slow up, and then in the third year, they get to their final size, they get their terminal leaf, and then either during that third winter or during the next year, they will become deciduous and start dumping leaves. And depending on the age of your canes and how many you've got, it can look like the plant's dying. It can be quite worrying. Anyway, what did I want to show you? What I wanted to show you is this is coming into growth. I mean, if you just look at that area there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 new growths just starting here. There are others which are much more difficult to see round this side here. If you look in there, there's some as well. So it's coming into growth, and I've just picked it up now, and look what I've spotted. Look at the nubbins. Look at the nubbins. These are buds. It's going to bloom. Now, Eames has said, I wouldn't be surprised if that blooms this year. And I thought, nah, it probably won't. So yet again he was right. He knows more about my plants than I flipping do. We've got buds coming, and I can see them in many places now that I've stopped to look specifically. Even here, we've got nubbins, yeah? So we're going to get buds, we're going to get blooms, and it'll be nice to see the blooms on this, because this can be variable. So you know, you look it up and it shows you the blooms, and you think, well, you either like them or you don't. I love them, but they can vary. They can vary quite a bit, and it depends on the plant. I mean, I've always said this is one that, you know, if you really want to get one that you really like, then buy it when it's in bloom so that you can see them. Otherwise you might be reliant on a picture that you know, doesn't look so good. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because we've got buds and we've got new growths. It's doing well. It's doing great, in fact. And there are signs of some new roots starting to grow as well, which I was hoping for. So putting it on a mount, giving it that wet-dry cycle, has done it the world of good, but the main reason was to stop these new leaves curling and not separating away. It seems to have worked as far as that is concerned. The ends of the canes are now working okay and not all getting stuck together, which means there's enough hydration getting to the plant. There'll be even more if it grows some more roots. So there was that. That's what I wanted to show you. So that's that one. What else? Oh, the other thing was this one. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you what this one's called, and it's got no tag, but if I can be bothered when I'm processing this video, I'll look it up, because I know it's in my notes. I know what it is, I just don't know what it is now. But this one's just suddenly burst into growth as well. So yeah, another mounted dendrobium. Lots of new roots. And we've got, oh, I remember what it is. It's, no I don't. I can't remember the name, but it's a hybrid between, I think it's Nobile and Moniliform, which is an unusual combination, but in this particular hybrid it puts tremendous vigour into the plant. This is capable of growing pretty big. Now at the moment this cane's growing nicely, this one's still growing, and this one, that's reached its terminal leaf down there. So we've still got 2 large canes actively growing, but look what's going on at the base. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new growths and actively growing roots. So that is loving its mount, yeah, which is good. I had one of these once, and it was on a mount about this big, and it got so big that I took it to the Orchid Society at the time, and I said, I am not taking this home, make me an offer. And one of my friends took it away. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to the plant, so don't ask. Yeah, that was. I think that was all I wanted to show you as far as. Oh no! Of course, this show off over here. I'll have to show you this, won't I? This spike emerged between the previous watering and the watering that's no longer just, you know, recently happened, and the buds are now open already. So this is a bit of a star performer. Unfortunately the blooms don't last long, but they are pretty stunning. Combination of colours and patterning. They're not large, these are not large blooms, you can see it against my finger, but They are absolutely stunning, and it makes a nice change from most cotyledons, which are white with a yellow centre. Now these aren't white, they're a straw sort of colour with some lovely shades of brown and very pale yellow. Absolutely gorgeous. And it is said that they're slightly fragrant. Well, I haven't found any yet. But then my nose is not as sensitive to fragrance as perhaps it once was. And I've had to put this on top of a pot, and it's the spike is still, it's touching the pot that it's standing on. Never mind. So that was it. That was what I wanted to show you. He says turning his back on people. That's just while I'm having a quick look at what's going on. Other things may occur. Right, what's going on out here then? What's going on out here over the last week is far too much heat. We actually got up to 30 degrees in here at several points during the week. And because I've been around most of the time, I've basically opened that door. I don't like doing that because potentially you've got bugs coming in. I don't mind the odd fly coming in, I can swat that. It's the rather smaller bugs like the aphids and stuff, you know, worse still, thrips. But so far I think I've got away with it. We do have quite a few carnivorous plants around, but nonetheless I've had to do that because I could see the heat was just growing and growing. And of course it's trapped in here, there's no ventilation. So that's what I've resorted to. And although the humidity drops, you know, I'm taking dry air out the lounge and chucking it out the door, it lowers the temperature quite dramatically and relatively quickly, at which point I can stick the humidifier on, and within 5 minutes I can get it back up from sort of less than 60 up to 90. And that's fine, we're back up, you know, to humidity that can cope with the flipping temperatures. But the weather has broken now. Today is the break day. Tomorrow there should be some rain. Tuesday there really should be some rain. So that will be great for the garden. It could do with a cleanse, a wash off, get the dust off and the pollen off that dratted oak tree and everything. Freshen everything up and get some, you know, reasonable water, not tap water. It's not much good. Keeps stuff alive, but it's not ideal. And get some proper water into the ground, actually get it moist again. It's things like the, you know, the hedges, the laurel, the things, the things, name's gone. Oh, there's one thing that's turned up in the garden this year, my mock orange, I think it is, or false orange, something like that, orange blossom. But it's basically, where it gets its name from is the fragrance, because the blooms are white. And this is the first year it's bloomed what I would say properly. And I don't know what hybrid it is, but the blooms are large. Now, I've had places that I've lived before, I've had that plant, and the blooms are nowhere near as big as these. They're really large. Perhaps we'll get a garden update in the week. We shall see. If the weather's going to break, the annoying corner on the decking, which is, it's been decided it will get planted. Maybe this week we can get out, go to a garden centre or two and pick up some plants and get that corner planted. I'm not prepared to plant it until I've got that last decking board in place, which is a bit fiddly, but it's, if that's the only thing I'm going to do out there that day, it's not the end of the world, is it? I need to do a long saw cut, and I've only got a hand saw, so it'll be tedious. But it's possible, that's the thing, it's possible. And then that gets the last board down, you can get that corner planted up. As long as the weather's broken and we're going to get, you know, no heat and some rain now and again. And if we get a little bit of a dry spell, as long as it's not a heat wave, I can chuck water on and we can get things established. They won't establish in the heat like we've had this week. They're just going to wilt. So we'll see about that. Right, I bet you want to see some new orchids, don't you? We're going to have to wait. I'm going to slot something else in front. And effectively what I'm slotting in the front is the thank yous, which involves memberships. That's the YouTube memberships and the Patreon memberships. There are no new members, but I have one that has renewed. And looking at my stats, it went blip, blip. So I can't imagine that person cancelled and promptly rejoined. So I'm pretty aware that on YouTube there's some sort of auto cancel. Now I don't know whether it's something to do with when you join, because obviously I haven't joined. I own it, you know. But maybe there's something where something you may not notice, but there may be some sort of end date or time period after which you drop off. But anyway, this person went and came back like the next day or virtually instantaneously. So I haven't got any new members, not on either. I think I've lost a member on Patreon. But in this day and age, with times being hard and prices the way they are, if somebody has to cancel a membership, I understand. So that was immediately took me back to thinking I've been watching some 2.5 Men episodes, which is a little politically incorrect nowadays, but that's Charlie's expression when he's upsetting people. I understand. It tends to shut people up, apparently. I haven't tried it for real. You know, try it on you good people. Yes, so thank you for being members. Thank you for continuing to be members. You are most appreciated. Especially when it comes to days like today. You know, we've got 2 new orchids. Okay, I decided to have breakfast out. That's my money. You know, it's not the orchid pot money, but the orchid pot got dipped into to get 2 new orchids. So that's what it's for. That's what the monetary contributions go into. A pot for new orchids, kit maintenance, getting me to and from shows. Which, I mean, if you think the NEC's coming up, well, tomorrow is June, so in the not too distant, the 18th I believe it is, I'm booked up. You know, I'm off to flipping Birmingham. It's a 3-hour drive. On YouTube, Google Maps, it's a 3-hour drive. I don't think it will take me 3 hours, because unless there's a camera on me, wallop. It's motorway virtually all the way, right to the door. I've got my parking ticket, I've got my entrance discount. Orchid societies get a special discount, so you're looking at not much less than 30 quid if you book online. I get a ticket for £12.50. But £12.50 plus the parking, 15 quid, plus a tank full of fuel, that's 150 miles each way, that's not far off a tank full. Plus I'm going to want to eat something while I'm there, so it's quite an expensive day out. And if I go to an international orchid show, I don't think you'd all be very pleased if I came home with nothing in a bag. Again, new orchids. I will try and find something interesting for you. So that's coming up 18th, which is a Thursday, it's a weekday. So I shall have to put up with workers' traffic. But the place opens at 9, I believe. I thought it was 10. If it opens at 9, I will be leaving here at 6. I want to get there when it opens. I don't want to be first in to get first choice. I just don't want to queue. And that'll also, I'll have to queue to park, I expect, because lots of other people will want to get there early for the same reason. And we all defeat each other's object. The object is to get in front of the queue, and we will make the queue. By all getting there early, we will be the queue. It's like people who say, I got stuck in traffic. You are traffic. Anyway, I suppose you want to see the new orchids. All right. As I say, it's a replacement for something that failed quite a while ago, that I'm now reasonably confident I can grow quite well, and it's in bloom. And we say hello again to an old friend. So those of you who've been with the channel a long time will remember this orchid. You'll also remember that it did quite well for some time and then went wallop incredibly fast. I think I've got the secret. Right, I'm running out of places to put stuff in here now. Right, now I've got to go careful, because although this one's in bloom spikes, compared with the size of the plant, is massive. So let's see what we can do. I will do what I can for you. And hopefully not lose the bloom. The bloom's going over, so it's not going to be with us long. it's already unwrapped. Oh, the spike has actually bent, so the bloom's going to go. It's a Mazda Valia. It's one of the largest blooms, and it's Viciana. And it's the orange in many, many, many hybrids. Now that's bent, so that bloom's going to go. And like I said, when I got my Ignea from Spice Exotic, it was exactly the same as this. It was in a tiny pot compared with the size of the plant, and there were many aerial roots. Those have to be kept hydrated. So I'm going to pot it up exactly the same as I did with the Ignea, which is doing great. Which will be to find a clay pot if I can, to accommodate what's in this pot with some new media around the outside for any roots that are in there active, and then we will plant it quite low in the pot, and we will top the pot up with sphagnum moss around the base of the plant where all these roots are. You've even got, you can see those roots are going to go straight into the air. They will not do well. They will only do well at 90% humidity, and I don't keep it like that all the time. But by putting some moss around the base area, all of these aerial roots and any new ones have got moisture to get into, and if they want to push on through the moss, they'll find media to get into. So that's how it will be planted. It's a pity that spike's bent, but so be it. It will bloom again. Let me have a quick look, see if I can see any more. Well, we've got new growths. There's a new growth here. Got a new one here. So that's 2. That's 3. And that's a spike that's recently been removed. And another one here. So we do have new growths. And the spikes come out of the sheath at the base of a growth. It's highly likely that's going to be one. You can see there is something down the side here. I hope you can. So that's highly likely to be another spike. But the spikes are quite substantial and quite tall. But at least you get to see what the blooms are like. They are a bright orange, and if I can twist this, hopefully you can see it, but they're covered in tiny little purple hairs, which if the light catches it right, they're like a sheen. So anyway, I spotted that, and I thought, well, that's almost identical looking at the plant. If there was nothing above 2 inches above the base of the plant, it would look like the Ignea, slightly smaller, but a good plant. And yeah, we tried this a couple of times in the old place and failed miserably. I believe I can be successful here. Now I doubt if that's going to stand up, is it? We will try. Are you going to stand up? Listen for the language. No, we'll lean against the wall. You going to stay there? Why is life difficult? There we go. Put it in the corner. Don't you fall over. So that's that one. Now this one, I wonder if any of you have guessed yet. It's an old friend. It has a nickname. And everybody knew it by its nickname. And when I this is the one I pre-ordered, and I said I only want one if it's got green growth on it. In other words, I can see new leaves coming. Because these are not easy to look after. But I was given some hints. And it's a hint that you possibly would not anticipate. It's mounted. And the hint was, keep it dry most of the time and keep it warm in the growing season. And then I had a quick look where it comes from, and I thought, yeah, that actually makes sense. And that's probably why I lost my last one, was it got too much water in the winter when it was cooler. So this will be kept dry. It will only get water when it's absolutely necessary. And I think this one was looked out for specially, so I am well pleased. So you're now looking at the backs. Anybody guess what it is yet? Welcome back, Mr. Hairy. Dendrobium senile, and we've got 1, 2, 3 new growths. And unlike one that I bought quite a long time ago, from when the International Orchid Show was at Malvern prior to Brexit, we used to get a lot of the European sellers came across, and I bought what I thought was a really nice mature plant, but it was on, you know, one of these plastic things, and I wanted to get it on some cork. So I unmounted it, and when I did, it was 7 individual plants, and the biggest one only had 3 canes. So they were all tiny little divisions. And it took a long time for that to get going, and then it failed miserably. But what we've got here is quite a nice plant. I hope it is one, but yeah, it is, I can see. So this is the base, so this was the division. It's grown out there, and then out here, and out here, and then coming in this direction, it's pushed out this growth, and we have a new one starting there. So all I need to go with those new growths is some new roots, and this must not be kept wet. Notice the tiny amount of moss. Now if it hasn't got much moss around the base, it's going to be difficult to keep it too wet, isn't it? Because it's the moss that can do the damage. We've got some roots on the back, looking a little tired, but nonetheless they'll be capable of hydrating the plant. That's the important thing. And it doesn't need a lot of hydration apparently. Kept dry, it's more likely to thrive. So hopefully we can get these 3 new growths to push on during this growing season, provide some decent sized canes. This plant is big enough to bloom. It's a mature sized plant. They're not big plants, yeah, they are quite a miniature, so to speak. So yeah, pleased with that, pleased with that. Selected, as I said, I did say if I'm not taking one home if it hasn't got signs of new growths. So it's been picked out, it's got new growths, well pleased. So thank you, Zuza. I don't think that was a case of that'll have to do. I think it was looked at and sorted out and appreciated. So that's that. So that's the 2 new orchids. And I said, welcome back to an old friend. Those of you who don't know, Dendrobium senile is nicknamed the old man orchid because it is covered in silver grey hair. A bit like this one here, yeah, a bit like that. This isn't grey, it's distinguished silver. Careful. There's not much left. I was talking to the 2 friends from Orchid Society, Bournemouth Orchid Society, the one that I've known for years basically. He's got very short grey hair like mine, and I said, I'm not trying to copy, but yeah, both the same like that. And the other guy I was talking to hasn't got any. Well, he has got hair, he just doesn't keep it. He does the old zip job, you know. So he said, yeah, but you're nowhere near me, are you? I said, no, hopefully I've got a few years to go before that. So we were talking about haircuts and things. So anyway, so yeah, its actual name, Dendrobium senile, senile, old people. Yeah, that's where it gets its Latin name from, and it's geared up to the fact that it's covered in silver grey hair. And a surprise for you, something you wouldn't guess. Guess what Dendrobium category that comes into? It's a black hair type. Of course it is. But it is, it comes into that class. Sorry, section they're called, aren't they? Dendrobium sections. Yeah, it comes into the black hair type. So that's the 2 new orchids, so that's good. And we've done the thank yous. Now for all of you who don't give a monkey's whether I live or die, now's your time to leave. Health stuff. I had my doctor's appointment on Wednesday, and it was quite good actually. I still didn't get to see a doctor. My complaint to get the appointment was that my annual review, when I'm supposed to be seen by a doctor, was an online questionnaire. And that's just not good enough. It's not good enough. And I bet you anything that's a government ploy, because I bet that was classed an appointment that was fulfilled on time, when in actual fact it was a questionnaire. I didn't see anybody. So anyway, when I walked in, the person I got to see was a consulting nurse. And it was the same person I saw when I had my little MOT thing that Hannah bullied me into. where I was first diagnosed with AF. That was the person who found it for me. She's now a qualified consulting nurse, which means she can do prescriptions and order up the other things that we've now got to do. So this coming Friday I've got to go for a chest x-ray. That's a precaution because I actually saw a person, so out came the old stethoscope, proper stuff. It might be old school, but it does a job that an online questionnaire can't do. You can't listen to somebody's heart, take their pulse, check their oxygenation and listen to their heart rate and their lungs. You can't do that with a questionnaire. And not everybody knows how everything works that can even put the right answers in. It's not good enough. Especially as I've been paying for that all my flipping life. Anyway, it was nice to see her again. She remembered me, I remembered her. And so she said, I got a special number. She said, this was Wednesday. She said, you've got to wait till Friday morning to give it time to get into the system. She said, you phone this number and book a chest x-ray. You can either have that at Christchurch Hospital or Bournemouth Hospital. You get to choose. So I chose Christchurch because there's somewhere I can park for nothing, because I hate paying to park. And it's a short walk. You know, it's not like a 2-mile hike or something. You can't get anywhere near Bournemouth Hospital. The only thing you can do is cheat and park in Tesco's. Under cameras, you get 2 hours. You overstay, you get a ticket. And they do monitor it, so it's actually a fair walk as well. So I chose Christchurch, so chest x-ray. That's the first x-ray I've ever had in my life. Thank you. And it's a precaution because when I was young, I was a heavy smoker. Now she said your lungs sound perfectly clear, everything sounds fine. But this is a precaution because, you know, not everything can be, you know, checked by listening. Yeah. And the fact that I went in there, and the reason was I get short of breath very easily. I go to take a deep breath and I don't fulfill the task. That's what the problem is. I sort of go, like I need more room. I need to get another gulp of air in, sort of thing. So there could be a lung issue. And she also has referred me to the hospital again, Bournemouth Hospital, to go and have another scan and talk with a heart consultant. That's as a result of, talk about landing on your feet. She said you need to, when you get out to reception, book a blood test because we need a special blood test. This one's different to what you've had before and it's to test for something different. I went out to reception and I said, lady asked me to book a blood test. She said, hang on, I'll look it up for you. She said, you can have one now if you like. Somebody just cancelled. So I went and sat down and a couple of minutes later I got up and went and had my blood taken. But basically it's to test for some sort of enzyme. I don't do long names and science stuff and, or, you know, medical terms. But there's basically an enzyme that is given off by your heart when it's not working properly. And it's detectable. And there's one of these, you know, this is the low limit, this is the high limit, and I am within that range, but I'm very close to the high limit. She had a look at my ankles and she said, you are retaining a little bit of fluid there, which is, you know, this is what this enzyme would be part of checking for. So yeah, so I've actually got to go up to the hospital for a proper scan. Yeah, and it's funny actually, last time I went doing the scan, you can see it on the big screen, you know, it's looking at your heart from this side and all this, that and the other. I said to the lady, is there any way you can pause that and take a still for me? Because there's an awful lot of people who don't believe I've got one. I can be quite cold to come over that way sometime. Yes, so that's what's coming up. I will keep you posted, but it's a trifle worrying that this the potential. And the other thing is I've given in and I'll be taking statins. I'm going to get, they were pre-ordered as a prescription on Wednesday. They've arrived at the pharmacist. I pick them up tomorrow. And the reason is that when I got first diagnosed, I got given the 3 medications, beta blocker, blood thinner, statins. I looked them all up and I thought, what the hell have they given me statins? There's nothing wrong with my cholesterol. I was only reading half the story, and basically a person with AF, with the medications that I'm taking, is a much higher risk of stroke and heart attack. The statins dramatically reduce that risk. Unfortunately, they have some side effects. Some people are more prone to them than others, and I don't know, because after getting prescribed last time, I stopped taking them pretty quick because I wasn't happy. Nonetheless, it made sense to try again, especially as there are quite a few different types and all have different effects on different people. We are all different. So she said, we'll start you on this one. If you start getting problems or side effects, we'll switch to another one. So you'll have to keep your eye on what's going on. So that's what's going on. I'm still alive, I'm still kicking, but there are troubling things lurking. Now, it is possible that this enzyme is showing up some problem with the heart, not working as well as it should, and if that is so, there will be some medication that I can take, and I think it's based on fluid reduction or something like that. But I shall have to wait and see. You know, I don't know much about all this sort of stuff, it's all new. But at the moment, this is a strange thing to explain. I don't get out of breath, I get short of breath. So I'm not puffing and panting, you know, like I've just run 100 yards. I'd probably make 10 nowadays. But yeah, it's not out of breath, it's short. It's when I start doing some exercise, you know, some sort of physical stuff, I can't take a deep enough breath to satisfy the need. You know, that's a sort of bodily function and a brain thing that actually says, take a deep breath and you'll be fine. And I go, and I can't get enough. It's not enough. It's like there isn't enough room. So that's where we are with all that. We're not on the way out, I don't think. And something was very sad today. Somebody I've known a long time as a youngster, coming up in the Bournemouth Orchid Society. I can remember, I know her mum really well. And basically she put her first ever plant in the novice section and won it first and got, talk about proud as punch. And she's now got a spinal issue, you know, and as a youngster that's not nice. But hopefully it can be sorted out. They can do wonders nowadays. Keep knocking them, but I don't knock what they can do. It's the admin, it's the procedures that surround the people who do the work, basically. That's what seems to let the whole thing down. Anyway, I don't know how long this has been going on, far too flipping long I expect. Yeah, coming up to 50 minutes, so that'll do, because I've still got to process this and time's getting on. Time is, crikey, it's 4 o'clock. Yeah, so this will be posted late today. No video tomorrow, day off from posting and YouTube stuff. And we've got 2 or 3 repots lined up, some of which are relatively urgent for this week. So we will get on with some of those. The Project Orchids are dead now, and he says under his breath, thank goodness. And we can start getting back to just other things, other orchid things. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with the waffle and the chat. That's what the Sunday chat is about. It's not just orchids. It hasn't been for a long time. It's life, the universe, and me and stuff, and with some orchids thrown in. It's not just about orchids. Most of my other videos are, but not the Sunday one. It's just that little bit different. So I will see you in the next one, Tuesday, for something. Not quite sure which one it will be. It's going to be a repot, I'm reasonably certain. But yeah, we will sort out priorities and see which one needs to be first. So thanks for dropping by. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you're not a subscriber, it would be nice if you did so, and if you haven't already done it, the old thumbs up is useful. These are things that YouTube sees as progress. Yeah? and watching the videos, obviously. And if you're still here, YouTube's going to love that, because it, in theory, meant you've watched the whole video. That's called retention. YouTube loves that as well. So do your bit if you can, or do what you can. It's appreciated. And don't forget, it's Sunday today. Tomorrow you get 3 brand new hypes to put on videos on your favourite channel, or if necessary, if you feel like doing that, you can put all 3 of them on the same video if you choose to do so. But you get 3 a week and they turn up on Monday. I shall be using mine on Monday morning, and yeah, don't forget those, they are useful. Something that YouTube's done for smaller channels, which makes a flipping change, because most of the time they only care about the bigger ones. That's where they make the most money. They didn't start this as a business to lose money, they did it to make money, and sometimes their greed is very obvious. But nonetheless, it's a free platform to use, can't knock it. So I will see you in the next one. Thanks for dropping by. Bye for now.